Dear students, we shall discuss now the early life of Tipu Sultan and his achievements. Tipu Sultan was born on 20th November 1750 at Devanalli. He also known as Tipu Sahab or the Tiger of Mysore, was the ruler of the Kingdom of Mysore based in South India and a pioneer of rocket artillery. He introduced a number of administrative innovations during his rule, including a new coinage system and calendar and a new land revenue system, which initiated the growth of the Mysore silk industry. He expanded the iron case Mysorean rockets and commissioned the military manual Patul Mujahideen. He deployed the rockets against advances of British forces and their allies during the Anglo-Mysore Wars. Tipu remained an implacable enemy of the British East India Company, sparking conflict with his attack on British allied Travancore in 1789. In the Third Anglo-Mysore War, he was forced into the Treaty of Srirangapatnam, losing a number of previously conquered territories including Malabar and Mangalore. He sent emissaries to foreign states. Emissaries means ambassadors or envoy to foreign states including the Ottoman Empire, Afghanistan and France in an attempt to rally opposition to the British. To fight against the British purpose, he has taken support from other countries also by sending his agents. In the Fourth Anglo-Mysore War, the imperial forces of the British East India Company were supported by the Marathas. They defeated Tipu and he was killed on 4th May 1799 while defending his fort of Srirangapatnam. Like this, Tipu Sultan sacrificed his life by fighting against British to protect the capital of Mysore. Tipu Sultan felt that the British are the major obstacle. Here obstacle means problem for his policy of expansion, so he tried to drive them out seriously. He became the ruler of Mysore after the death of his father. He understood the cunning policy of the British and he considered it as his duty to drive the British out of India. He came to know that the cunning policy, strategies and all of the British, and he decided to put them out of our country. He waged war against the British throughout his 17 years of his rule. He had clearly understood the cunningness, strategies, clever manipulations of the British. So he came to know the weakness of the British, that hurting the business interest of the British would weaken the political strength of the British. He tried to organize the enemies of the British into one group. He tried to break the monopoly of the British over trade with India by supporting other companies like Dutch and French. These attempts further angered the British and their enmity with Tipu Sultan grew up. Due to this, British got angered with Tipu Sultan's move and they started to hate the Tipu's rule in South India, and they decided to defeat Tipu Sultan and they planned to capture whole part of Mysore kingdom under their control. Do you know this? Among all the attempts done during the 18th century to stop the British, the efforts of Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan stand out due to many aspects, because They knew that they cannot defeat the British with their traditional arms. For that reason, they modernized their army. The soldiers of Mysore army were capable of using modern weapons and do drills like the European armies. So they given Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan, both of them, they given more importance for their given to the army, and they given training for their soldiers like European armies. Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan used rockets during the war for the first time in India. Apart from modern weapons, both of them knew that they needed funds in their treasury for the battles. They also came to know that they need strong army as well as they need fund for their upcoming wars. So that Hyder Ali had witnessed many Nawabs going bankrupt while waging war against the British. So both of them took measures to strengthen their economic system by entering into various agreements and trade pacts. So whenever they are attacking on other kingdom, they used to took huge amount of money, wealth and all for their upcoming battles against the British, and they did many agreements with the rulers. They nationalized tobacco and sandalwood. They invited French experts to improve the quality of traditional artifacts of Mysore in order to gain better market share at international markets. So they brought experts from French also to give good training for their soldiers and all. Let me discuss now the third Anglo-Mysore War. The politics of Travancore was the main reason for this war. So here, you know all, after the end of second Anglo-Mysore War, Treaty of Mangalore was signed between British and Mysore ruler. Now Britishers were trying to break out the Treaty of Mangalore also. The King of Travancore built a port in Kochi with the help of British and captured Ayakota and Kanganuru ports from the Dutch. All these were the clear breach of Mangalore Treaty. A breach means break. So all these were the clear breach of Mangalore Treaty. So Britishers went against the Mangalore Treaty by giving support for the King of Travancore to build port in Kochi and to capture Ayakota and Kanganuru, which were under the control of Dutch. The British captured Karwar, Coimbatore, Dindigul and other regions under the leadership of Meadows. So British also, they captured some places like Karwar, Coimbatore, Dindigul and other regions under the leadership of Meadows. So due to this, Tipu Sultan also trying to break the Mangalore Treaty. He entered the region of Baramal and captured Satyamangalam, and he was trying to capture Tiruchinappalli but failed in his attempt. At the same time, British removed Meadows Taylor and they appointed Lord Cornwallis. So Lord Cornwallis took over the leadership of the British army. Due to this, the war direction got changed. The British army captured Kolar and Hosakote and rushed towards Bangalore under the leadership of Lord Cornwallis. The army captured Bangalore and destroyed the port after capturing Bangalore. So, under the leadership of Lord Cornwallis, British army reached Bangalore. They captured Bangalore and they destroyed Bangalore port. While going to Bangalore, they captured Kolar and Hosakote also. Later on, Lord Cornwallis sought the help of Marathas and Nizams of Hyderabad to defeat Tipu Sultan, because Tipu Sultan army was very strong. The soldiers of Mysore army got trained by European, means French. The war took another conclusive turn with the joining of Maratha and Hyderabad forces with the British. So in that, Marathas captured Savanuru, Gajendragada, Lakshmeshwara Hubbali and other places. Now, three parties joined together. When Lord Cornwallis saw the help of Marathas and Nizams, both of them they given support to British to defeat Tipu Sultan. The combined army marched towards Srirangapatnam by capturing port after fort in 1792. The combined army marched towards Srirangapatnam by capturing port in 1792. The port was destroyed during night. Due to this, disturbed by these developments, Tipu Sultan tried to enter an agreement with the British. It was inevitable for him to protect his port and his kingdom. He finally signed the Treaty of Srirangapatna in 1792, which had unfavorable conditions. With this, Third Anglo-Mysore War came to an end. So, with the Treaty of Srirangapatnam, the Third Anglo-Mysore War came to an end because he is unable to fight with the British at midnight, even though he wanted to protect his kingdom and his port. The British were successful in interesting unfavorable condition in order to weaken Tipu Sultan. Tipu was forced to part with half of his kingdom, was forced to pay 3 crore rupees as war damage fee and had to pledge 2 of his children as guarantee against the payment. He was also forced to release the prisoners of war. The British withdraw the combined army from Srirangapatnam. So after the Treaty of Srirangapatnam, Tipu has to give his half kingdom to the British. Along with this, he has to pay 3 crore rupees as a war compensation. Along with that, he has to keep his 2 children under British control until he will pay the due or until he will pay the money. Like this treaty is one of the unfavorable conditions, put unfavorable condition to the Tipu Sultan in the Third Anglo-Mysore War. So like this, British, when Tipu Sultan agreed the Treaty of Srirangapatnam, British withdraw the combined army from Srirangapatnam.